when it is right for us to abort an interlaminar endoscopic discectomy. Of course, this is a presentation regarding newcomers to the endoscopic journey. Here we see a case of an 18-year-old female girl with a large herniated L5S1 disc. And this is the postoperative result, which, as you can see, we are very happy with. But how did we manage to do it? Before the surgery, there are some things that we need to consider. First of all, is there any instability at the patient that we have in front of us? Scoliosis and spondylolisthesis may deteriorate after endoscopic surgery because some of us may be a little more, may have to take away more of the facet joint. Also, stenosis, the hypertrophic falset or calcified ligamentum flavum may prevent adequate decompression because of the not adequate visualization. Discitis and tumors, although using endoscopy is a very nice tool for getting results and, for example, a biopsy, they may not be adequate for the decompression and managing the neurological deficits. Also, if an extraforaminal or a foraminal disc, maybe we should consider a transforaminal approach for better access and better visualization of the pathology. A calcified disc is also very difficult for new surgeons to deal with due to its necessity of special equipment, such as drills, ultrasonic devices, and there is also a higher risk for dural injury in these cases because there is a higher chance of adhesions with the dura and the calcified disc. Of course, a cauda-equina syndrome is something urgent, requires decompression, and most of the times it's better to prefer a large open decompression in order to give the affected nerves the higher possibility to get better, let's say. Failed back syndrome and recurrent disc herniations may benefit more with open surgery and stabilization, but okay, in the experienced hands of endoscopic surgeons, it may work. In inexperienced hands, we advise you not to attempt these cases. So these were the reasons why you have to abort before going to surgery, during the planning of the surgery. During surgery, there are also some reasons that push you to convert to open. First of all, you may face uncontrollable bleeding or a dural tear with the nerve root entrapment. Worsening of the neuromonitor findings. We used to do neuromonitoring in all of our cases, and when we see a deterioration of the neuromonitoring, we stop the surgery and convert to open. Sometimes you may find unexpected pathology. When you ask for an MRI, it's not very easy to identify a calcified disc or another pathology or a tumor, let's say. And last but not that it never happens, equipment failure. For example, uncontrollable bleeding. We have faced cases where a patient was taking anti-inflammatory drugs for 2 whole months, and in combination with anticoagulant drugs, when we started doing our discectomy, there was a lot of blood, we couldn't see anything, and we had to open. Secondly, a dural tear. Large dural tears with severe CSF leak may cause post-op pseudomeningeal and are difficult for inexperienced surgeons to deal with. Worsening of the neuromonitoring findings, of course, and unexpected pathology. You may find a calcified disc not identified in a previous MRI. You may find a tumor where you were expecting it to be just a disc, or you may see that you have a spondylolisthesis not identified in the MRI where the patient is lying down, and maybe we haven't got any X-rays. Equipment failure, okay, it happens. The pump or the camera failure sometimes forces you to convert to open, and it's not the best thing for you and for the patient. So, summarizing all the above, what we have to say is that fail to plan is a plan to fail. As you saw before, most of the cases most of the considerations that you have before going for endoscopic surgery are before the surgery. You have to plan and to plan your surgery well in order for it not to fail. It has a steep learning curve, and nobody should be ashamed of converting to open. It has happened almost to everyone, as we can say. And last but not least, most complications can be avoided with good clinical and, of course, radiological evaluation. Never go into the OR without feeling ready and being ready to adapt to anything that you can find and deal with all the pathologies. Thank you very much.